Hello students, I am Dr. Zeba from the Department of Home Science, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Today we will be discussing about saving and investments. We will begin with an introduction to saving, understand why it is important, and then explore different ways of generating additional income. After that, we will move on to the concept of investment and discuss the various ways in which we can invest. Let us start with understanding the meaning of the term saving. Saving simply refers to the amount of money that remains after an individual or household has met all their expenditures. Now, to understand saving, we must first understand disposable income. Disposable income is the income that remains after deducting taxes, fees, and fines from the total earnings. This is the money that an individual or household can actually use. Simply put, saving is equal to disposable income minus expenditure. Savings can be kept in many forms: cash, precious metals, goods, bank deposits, and even stock market investments. So, saving is about setting aside part of your income for future security and opportunities. There is no single method of managing income that works for every family. Even families with the same level of income may have very different expenditure needs depending on their lifestyle, priorities, and circumstances. Most families try to live within their income, balancing what they earn with what they spend. And importantly, the money that is kept aside after meeting all expenses is known as savings. So, income, expenditure, and savings form the core of financial management in any household. Let me give you an example to make this clearer. Take the case of two families, Sunita's family and Seema's family. Both families have the same income, but their requirements are quite different. In Sunita's family, the elder brother and sister are in college. Naturally, a larger part of their income goes toward education expenses. On the other hand, Seema's family has only one child who is still in school. This means they spend less on education and can allocate more money towards entertainment and savings. This example shows us that even with the same income, expenditure patterns can vary widely depending on family needs and circumstances. Family income is usually spent on different needs such as clothes, food, house rent, school or college fees, travel, and other necessities. But it is also important that a part of the income is always kept aside as savings. Let me share an example. Dayal is a shopkeeper who earns rupees 4500 per month. He lives with his wife, two children, and his old mother. His wife manages the household expenses carefully, and every month she keeps aside a small portion of the income. That small amount, though modest, becomes their savings, a reserve that can help the family in times of need. We will now discuss the importance of saving. The importance of saving cannot be overstated. First importance is special needs of the family. Family needs are not constant, they change over time. In the early stage of family life, more money is spent on things like furniture and utensils to set up the household. As the family grows older, expenses shift, medical costs become more important in old age. There are also ongoing expenses throughout, such as gifts, entertainment, hosting guests, and trips. When children grow up, families often face the burden of higher education costs, and later on, significant amounts are needed for marriage expenses. Second is emergency. Unforeseen events can happen at any time and they often come without warning. For example, a sudden illness such as a heart attack, an injury, or an accident may require immediate spending on hospitals, doctors, medicines, and treatment. In some cases, the family may even face the death of the earning member, which can cause a severe financial crisis. Emergencies may also come in the form of damage to property or crops caused by fire, floods, droughts, or other natural disasters. In all these situations, savings act as a safety net. They help the family manage expenses and survive until other alternatives or sources of income can be arranged. Third one is retirement and old age. After retirement, most people receive a pension, but this pension is usually much less than what they were earning earlier. If one wishes to maintain the same standard of living even after retirement, extra money is needed, and this extra money does not come from the current income. It comes from the savings built up during the working years. So, saving while we are earning is what ensures comfort, security, and dignity in old age. Fourth is to make life more comfortable. There are many items that make our lives easier and more enjoyable, like a washing machine, a refrigerator, or a television. These are not immediate necessities, but they do add comfort and convenience to our daily lives. And to afford such items, savings are essential. In the same way, saving with the goal of building a house is also a very wise decision, as it provides long term security and comfort for the whole family. Let's now learn about some ways to generate additional income. As we all know, prices are rising day by day, and it is becoming harder for families to manage with just one person's salary. In such situations, we cannot rely only on savings to meet all expenses. Savings may help for a while, but they are not a permanent solution. The real solution lies in finding ways to increase the family's income, whether through an extra job, a small business, or other income generating activities. This helps the family cope with rising costs and live with greater security. The first way a family can generate additional income is through kitchen gardening. Even a small plot of land can be used to grow vegetables. This reduces the need to buy vegetables from outside and helps the family save money. If the family has a larger plot or even a farm, they can grow more vegetables and crops. The extra produce can then be sold in the market, which brings in additional income. So, kitchen gardening provides a dual benefit. It allows the family to both save and earn at the same time. The second way to add to the family income is by keeping poultry at home. A small space in the backyard or even on the rooftop can be used to keep a few hens. These hens provide eggs for home consumption, which reduces household expenses. And when there are extra eggs, they can easily be sold in the market, bringing in some additional income. It is a simple, low cost way for a family to earn extra money while meeting their own needs. The third source of additional income can be stitching. When family members stitch their own clothes, they immediately save on tailoring costs. But this skill can also be extended further. By stitching clothes for neighbors or others in the community, it becomes possible to earn extra money. So, stitching is a skill based way to add to the family's income while also reducing household expenses. Another useful activity for generating extra income is beekeeping. With just a small space to keep a few beehives, a family can begin this activity. The bees produce honey, which can be collected, bottled, and sold in the market. Along with honey, bees also produce beeswax, which is valuable because it is used in making medicines and candles. So, beekeeping not only provides a natural product for home use but also becomes a reliable source of additional income. The fifth way of generating additional income is through the preservation of foods. Family members can learn to prepare items like pickles, jams, and squashes at home. With a little practice, these can be made in larger quantities. The preserved foods can then be sold in the market, providing the family with extra income. So, food preservation is not only a useful household skill but also a simple way to turn homemade products into earnings. The sixth method of earning additional income is by making handicraft articles. With skills like making dolls, baskets, candles, embroidered tablecloths, tie and dye work, batik paintings, or even greeting cards, family members can create beautiful items right at home. These handcrafted products have good demand and can easily be sold in the market. It is a creative and simple way to generate extra income while also showcasing one's talent and skills. Let's go through the journey from savings to investment. Every month, we set aside some portion of our income as savings. But let's think about it. If that money is just kept in a bank at home, it carries a risk. It can be lost, stolen, or simply lose value over time. So, what is the best option? To use that money in a way that it is not just kept idle but instead keeps growing, and this very process of putting money to work for growth is what we call investment. Now let's move on to understand the meaning of investment. Investment simply means putting our money into schemes or assets that either grow in value over time or generate income for us. For example, we can invest in bank deposits, stock market, commodity market, or real estate. Each of these options has its own features. But the common purpose is the same, providing regular income and supporting long term wealth creation. That is why investment is such an important part of financial planning. Without it, money tends to lose value due to inflation. Now, what exactly is investment? Let us understand it with an example. Suppose we save rupees 10,000. If we keep it at home, even after many years, it will still be rupees 10,000, no growth at all. But if we keep it in a bank, it earns interest and gradually increases. If we use it to buy land, the value of that land usually increases over time, and these are just a few examples. There are many other ways to invest money, which we will explore further. So, in simple terms, investment means making our savings work for us. Let us now learn the benefits of investment. Investment helps beat inflation by growing our wealth through capital appreciation. It can also provide tax benefits, allowing us to save more. The power of compounding makes our money work harder. Returns generate more returns, accelerating growth over time. Most importantly, investments support our future goals, whether it is education, buying a house, traveling, or retirement planning. In short, investment is not just about money, it is about building security and freedom for the future. Now, let's discuss the key criteria for choosing an investment. The first is safety and reliability. We should always make sure the scheme is trustworthy. Government schemes are generally considered the safest. Second, we should look for easy liquidity. A good investment should allow us to withdraw money in times of need. Third, we should consider accessibility. The scheme should be easy to avail, for example, post office or bank schemes. Fourth, we should aim for a high interest rate. Safe investments that also offer better returns are always preferable. And finally, we should check for tax rebate. Choosing schemes that provide income tax relief gives us an added advantage. So whenever planning to invest, one should keep these five criteria in mind to make a wise and secure decision. Next, let's discover some methods of investment. The first is a bank or post office savings account. When we deposit money in bank or post office saving account, it earns interest, giving steady growth. Another is a fixed deposit or FD. Here money is kept for a fixed period and at maturity we get back the full amount plus interest. The rate is higher than a savings account and one can even take a loan against an FD. It is simple, safe, and reliable. That's why many people invest in FD. The second way of investment is through National Savings Certificate or NSCs. These are sold by post offices and come in denominations like rupees 100, rupees 500, and rupees 1000. They offer a high rate of interest, which means money nearly doubles in about 6 years. Another big advantage is that NSCs also provide income tax benefits and there is no upper limit. One can buy as many certificates as one wish. That makes NSC a safe and rewarding investment option. The third way of investment is by buying units. This is somewhat similar to national savings certificates, but instead of the post office, these are bought from the Unit Trust of India or UTI. When we invest, we earn a premium on each unit, and the returns are given through post dated checks that can be cashed only after the mentioned date. An added benefit is flexibility. If we need money, we can sell the units back to UTI. So, buying units is another reliable way to grow our savings with steady returns. The fourth way of investment is the Provident Fund or PF. This is mainly for government and private sector employees. Every month, a small amount is deducted from the salary and the employer contributes the same amount. At the time of retirement, the employee receives the entire accumulated sum, a valuable financial support for the future. There are clear advantages. It offers a tax rebate. One can take a loan from their PF for important needs such as marriage in the family, building a house, or children's higher education. It is a safe and reliable long term investment, making it one of the most trusted options for employees. The fifth way of investment is by buying shares. This is one of the most common forms of investment. Companies sell shares to raise funds for their expansion and production. When we buy shares, we become a part owner of the company. As a shareholder, we earn a portion of the company's profits, and if the share prices rises, we can also resell our shares at a higher price to make a gain. But we need to remember shares carry a risk. If the company suffers losses, shareholders too are affected. That is why it is very important to research the company carefully before investing. The sixth way of investment is by taking out an insurance policy. An insurance policy not only encourages regular saving but also returns our money with interest at the end of the policy term. The biggest advantage is financial protection. It covers life risks such as accidents or sudden death and also safeguards against losses from theft, illness, or damage to property and crops due to fire, flood, or drought. On top of that, insurance policies also provide tax rebate benefits. So, insurance is both a safety net and a form of investment for the future. The seventh and last method of investment is in real estate. Real estate refers to permanent immovable property such as land or houses. Buying property is often considered a lifetime investment. One of its key advantages is flexibility. Property can be sold whenever money is needed, and in most cases, the value of real estate increases over time, making it a strong long term asset. That's why real estate is seen as both a secure and rewarding form of investment. Thus, we come to the end of this lecture as well as the module. Hope you gain valuable insights from it. Thank you.